What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Trance, and we are back with a really special tune, but it's a tune I actually have only come across recently, and I say come across, the reality is I need to start this video by giving a massive shout out to friend of the channel, Tasos. He's a techno friend. We talk about all sorts of electronic genres, and also movies and other things as well, but especially acid music of different kinds, Goa trance, acid techno, hardcore with acid, all sorts of different genres. And he's like me. He's a little bit younger, but he is very much like me in terms of he wants to know more about different artists, wants to learn about labels, wants to know what went into making a tune, wants to talk about certain parts of tunes and sort of the atmosphere behind a tune. And we do, I think, see music in many ways very similarly. So yeah, there's been a lot of cases where I brought tunes to his attention, and there are cases where he's brought tunes to my attention, including the one we're going to listen to. Not too long ago, he asked me if I had heard of a tune called ResuRection by an artist, PPK. Had not heard of this, and at first, I was busy posting videos, and it took me a couple days to listen to it, and then when I finally did, my mind was blown. And I was surprised to discover, when I looked at when it was from, that it's from 2001. It's a tune that, in some ways, I feel like it could be a vintage mid-90s tune, like 96 Trance. But here's the thing, as Tasos and I have talked about, it's a tune that, in a way, I think sits outside the fabric of space-time. It really is this tune that it speaks to humanity and also a personal history, but also it feels like a perfect expression in the moment, but it also feels very futuristic. It's essentially a track that finds a place that is in this alternate dimension where only the most majestic beings could possibly exist. And even though we can't really go there, we can't live there, I think through this tune we can access the place and experience that timeless sort of bliss that comes with a tune of this sublimity. So seriously, it may sound like hyperbole, it may sound like exaggeration, but for someone who's been listening to a trance for a long time, and for someone who knows a lot of really great trance tunes, specifically in the kind of melodic acid trance vein, which I would say my most concise description of this one would be melodic acid trance. But honestly, there are a few tracks that I feel like genuinely make my brain feel like I've accessed some dimension that is beyond the normal universe, and where only the most sublime and majestic sounds can possibly be heard. And again, maybe we can't stay there as human beings, maybe we can't speak this sort of extraterrestrial and divine language, but through tracks like this, I think we can just, touch the outside of it. So let's get to it. This is PPK, which, by the way, it's a Russian trio originally. It eventually, or very quickly, became a duo. So like one of the guys, I think Roman, left shortly after they started. But Sergey and Alexander are the two that continued and made a number of other releases. This track and most of their tracks were released in like the Eastern European kind of like Russian dance market, but this tune in particular made such an impact that I've come to realize it was licensed by, in this case, Perfecto in the UK, and I think some other labels in some other countries, and it became like a really popular hit across the European trance scene. So yeah, bottom line, this is PPK ResuRection. The mix we're going to listen to is technically called the Space Club Mix, but if you were to go online and you were to type in PPK ResuRection on YouTube, this is surely the mix that will come up first. So here we go. This is ResuRection PPK, or PPK's ResuRection, and it's the Space Club Mix. And prepare yourself for a very special tune. I'm going to assume it's 45, but I would be wrong. Side note, this tune gets very special very early, so in about 10 seconds I'm going to stop talking, and I'm not going to talk until many minutes later. cosmonaut sample. Message sent out into the universe. Like, we sent the golden record out on the Voyagers. We're hearing cosmonauts who are out in space, you know, exploring. I feel like there's no better message we could send extraterrestrials than a track like that. And whatever they might think about us, they know we're a species that has emotion and creativity. I do love that ending too. Yeah, super cool. Once again, shout out to Tasos. You know, really appreciate you bringing this to my attention. And yeah, just a really top track, and a track that, you know, multiple comments about it really feeling like, you know, it's a timeless tune, like not just, you know, in terms of the last few decades, but like, you know, for all time. But at the same time, it is surprising to me that it comes from as late as 2001. I could, you know, the fact that this wasn't 96, 97, 98 maybe, like I feel like there's a lot of like really good melodic trance in my collection that's like 98, 99. So yeah, even a couple years later. Now again, I don't know if that's because the Perfecto release is 2001 and maybe, you know, the original one was from a year or two before. Either way, yeah, it just perfectly encapsulates many of the things I love about trance, including specifically acid trance. So yeah, the main, like, that first breakdown of melody, like, to me, that's really the moment of the tune, and that, like, even if you listen to a lot of really good melodic trance, there aren't many breakdowns like that are so, like, arresting, so, like, sublime as to make you, like, not want to breathe so that you don't, like, interrupt the track at all. And then, again, as it goes on, I love the way the acid comes in, those, like, rising and fallings and a sort of, like, sine wave acid parts. And then eventually there's that kind of like desperate sort of acid melody, which I always enjoy. So yeah, really top tune. Once again, shout out to Tasos, appreciate that. Do let me know what you think of the tune. I will see you next time. Peace.